Gross. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm a radio host who doesn't know what the hell to say.
And I'm with you. I don't understand either, Kyle. I don't know what to, like, I'm
just going to play match game music for 2 hours. Nah, it was ass, bro. That was it's a game that we talked about it yesterday. You know what? Are we guaranteeing a win? Absolutely not, because you can't guarantee anything with this year's Kings team. But if they play a C game, can you play an average-ass game? You don't even have to play that well. Can you just go, Can you just not throw your jersey on the court and you'll win by 20? That's where this Washington team is. Excuse me, I'm fired up. And they couldn't even do that. That was gross, dude. I don't care that you lost. If you lost because they hit 43s, all right, so be it. Stuff happens. It's the NBA. They get paid too. But you lost because you didn't try. They quit. That was a basketball team. You said it yesterday when we were doing our tiers and I said that these are the Kings were in the tier of just get this season over with. And you went, I'm not sure they know that they're that team. We all know it. I don't know that they know it. Last night told us they know it.
They know it.
They know exactly what this is.
No,
they're done.
Yeah, they know that exactly. It was so bad. Like, how bad is it? It was so bad.
Oh, nice match game. Good.
It was so bad, Kyle, that the Wizards, because they didn't want to compete, bench Jordan Poole for most of the second half.
Yes.
The dude played 24 minutes. Why?
They were playing too well.
Because he had 23 points and you didn't want to win. They didn't want to win.
They did not want to win that game.
Now,
they are firmly... Do you know what the Wizards front office was doing last night? Getting prepared to watch Cooper Flagg.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're up to.
Oh, they're angry today.
They're pissed.
Oh, yeah. They're looking around like,
doing winning?
Hey, we're going to fire the coach because he won that game. You're fired.
That was legitimately, and I don't keep in mind, this is from my perspective. This is from the perspective of somebody a bunch of my friends were Kings fans in middle school when they were really good, obviously. But since I've followed the Kings closely since 2011, when I started working in media out here, that I think is the worst loss I've ever seen. When you start factoring in the scope of what this season has meant, what this season has been, where they are in the standings, where the Wizards are in the standings, the fact that we're just like, hey, can you just get a few wins here? Can you scratch out 500?
Mm-hmm.
And you go into one of your very few winnable games left and you play like that. It's the way they played. It's the circumstances. It's what the expectations were before the year. That was just like it. I don't even want to say rock bottom because it feels like we've hit rock bottom so many times and then they drill on through it and find a new level. But last night really felt like all right, that's the exclamation point on this crap Sunday of a season.
Yeah, I think you're saying it like spot on. I mean, the only other time I can compare this, it doesn't even really compare. It's the puke game. It's the game where Luke Walton gets fired the next morning. He's fired the next morning or after the game that night. But as expected, and the guy throws up all over the court. And I think people might forget, like, Alvin Gentry took over right afterwards. And where are we at? So Luke Walton gets fired after game 17, which is against the Jazz. The next game, which is a Monday. So Saturday night is the Utah Jazz game where, again, they fire Luke Walton.
Mm-hmm.
They come back and play the Philadelphia 76ers on Monday, right? The first game with Alvin Gentry. And everyone's like, okay, they'll get this thing back on track. Why would they get it back on track? Because Joel Embiid and every other starter for the Philadelphia 76ers were out. They all either had injury or didn't feel good or whatever. So George Yang, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, Andre Drummond, and frickin' Korkmaz came in and ran the Kings off the court.
Well, when the Cork man is on the court, it's not, I don't know.
No Tobias Harris.
God,
like they just like waved the white flag and still punked you. And the Kings were 100% healthy. Like that was
Ugh.
it. It was their starting lineup against 5 bench players and no bench for like outside of that for Philadelphia because their bench is all on the court and they crush you. So to me, like this in this situation where you got 6-7 games left in the season and you have a lay down win just sitting in front of you to walk in there and not play a stitch of defense from the opening of the game until the end.
They shot 51.2% from the field and 39.5% from three. They outscored you by 21 from the 3-point line. The Kings won the fourth quarter by 9 points and lost the game by 5.
Yeah.
If you told me the Kings won the fourth by 9, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So they won by 30. That would have been the takeaway for me. Not they lost by 5.
They should have been a 30-point blowout. Like, but that's just not who they are. They don't care enough this deep into the season to actually put up some resistance against one of the all-time worst teams.
That was so bad. And again, this is not one loss in a vacuum.
No.
This is this loss on top of this entire season. This cements for me everything this offseason is on the table.
Everything.
Wash your hands of whatever you can of this season and throw it away. There should be, if they do a whole round of coaching interviews and they decide Doug Christie's the guy, fine. But under no circumstances can you just look and go, Doug and whatever member of the coaching staff you're in, and this player and that player and that player, you're all in. That's fine. Here's the real problem. No, dude, it's all a problem at this point.
Yeah.
It is all a problem. I cannot wrap my brain around the fact that you're going into that because, again, last night, by the way, the Kings mathematically eliminated from the number 8 seed. But you're going into that game with a chance to at least host your play-in game. Give yourself a puncher's chance to win that one, and you win it. Okay, maybe like it's not a lot. It's not what you were expecting to play for, but it's what you had to play for. And they didn't play. They didn't.
Yeah.
There were no points last night where you went, oh, okay, they're wrestling this game back. They had a 10-2 run at the end of the first half. But I thought Deuce and Mo at halftime, I thought nailed it. You go on that 10-0 run, and then you give up just a coast-to-coast layup to Jordan Poole?
Yeah.
At the end of the half at the buzzer? Can you get a stop? Can you play 4 seconds of defense?
The answer is no.
That, in the scope of a game, one basket at the end of the half to make a 10-0 run, a 10-2 run is not a huge deal. But the fact that they could not even, I'm trying to think of the appropriate phrase, step up.
Yeah.
And get a stop in that moment did not bode well for what the rest of the game looked like. And then they just come out and they just get smoked in the third quarter. They're fighting uphill the rest of the way. You got a young team playing with confidence, and you just had nothing. You don't have okay, you know what? We're going to shut the faucet off. We can't figure it out offensively, but we're going to make sure that they're not going to score either. Nope. You don't have the go-to offensive play where, okay, hey, you know what? They're on a little bit of a run. Here's how we're going to go get a bucket. We're going to run this play. We're going to run this set. You don't have it.
The crazy thing is, I thought that they actually ran some different sets last night that I hadn't seen. I saw the 2-man game with Levine and Sabonis and with DeMar DeRozan and Sabonis. Like some of these things are working, and then you abandon everything. Like you get to the third quarter, and like whatever happens in the third, I don't understand how you lose to that team by 11 in the third quarter. Jordan Poole scores 12 in the third. Bub Carrington scores 12 in the third on 4 or 5 shooting from 3. Like you just stopped even attempting to play defense.
Bub Carrington, by the way, a 33% 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Not a good shooter.
He's not one of the hot guys. Is that what you're saying, Kyle?
No, well, he was last night. 5 of 11. I'm willing to bet that 5 is his most made threes in a game this season. It is.
This is his rookie season?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
tied a career high for 3-point makes, and it was his career high in 3-point attempts.
Yeah. Like at minimum this summer, every single bit of your defense has to be scrapped and started over. Whatever this idea was about not defending the 3-point line and acting like you're going to high five guys and all that. So whatever the plan was this season, and for that matter, last season on the defensive end of the ball, defensive side of the ball. And I don't understand any of this because Mike Brown is a very good defensive coach, and he's set this defense in motion early. It's the same defense now that we saw at the beginning of the season. It's the same defense we saw last year, where they just do not defend anybody outside the perimeter, on the perimeter.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's the worst defensive scheme that I've seen, and I don't understand why they keep running it out there. Like, if you're going to allow, this team was 25th in 3-point percentage coming into the game, and you allow them to bust you up for 17 threes, 17 of 43, they shoot 39.5%. Who was the team the other day that was 30th in 3-point percentage? Came in like 31.1%. Was it Orlando?
Orlando is not a good 3-point shooting team that always shoots well against the Kings.
Yeah, whoever it was, they crushed the Kings from behind the arc. Like, whatever it is that they're doing, they're not just daring teams to shoot 3-point shots. They're allowing something that is so outside the norm. That is just such an aberration. Every team walks in and destroys you. And it's because you're giving a team confidence. You're giving players confidence by not even attempting to defend them. Like this second and third effort that, the Jordi Fernandez era talked about, like second, third effort, you're going to fly to the ball. All of that is gone. I don't know what this is. And so at a minimum, you have to scrap everything this offseason. You need to bring in a different defensive coordinator, defensive mind to help you establish what your defensive scheme is, because this ain't it. Whatever has happened here, this ain't it. I don't care who the players are. Like, these guys couldn't defend a junior high team at this point.
Nope.
Because that's pretty much what the Washington Wizards are. And you just let them run you over. Just absolutely embarrassing.
I don't even have a well, at least this went well. I don't have any silver linings. I have nothing.
Yeah.
We continue to see some of the trends that we've talked about all year. You have DeMar DeRozan, who's largely ineffective through 3 quarters and then takes 12 shots in the 4th quarter. Domantas Sabonis, who finished the game with 18, 16, and 7. 0 shots in the 4th quarter.
Didn't take a shot in the 4th.
Didn't take a shot.
Yeah. And hey, I want to, here in the chat, we have this Kings best players don't defend. Why is James acting surprised? Why am I surprised? I'm surprised because defense is nothing but effort. It's nothing but trying.
Yep.
Like lateral quickness and stuff, it matters. But what is it? Nick Batum is one of the best defensive players in the league at age 38.
Yep.
Because he tries.
The dog.
That's all this was. You're not trying. Why are you not trying on defense?
That's it. Yes. It's not that, oh, wow, the Kings don't have a bunch of lockdown defenders. Yeah, we know that. We are on board with that.
Yeah.
It is something we have talked about. This show's been on for a year and a half. And we have been talking about their lack of defense on the perimeter specifically for a year and a half. But it is the effort level in a game that is exceedingly winnable and that you need. Like, you're battling to host a play-in game. That's what, again, it sounds silly because we had higher expectations, but that's what you're playing for at this point. And frankly, you're a game out of falling out of the play-in entirely.
Yeah.
This is dude, hey, it's go time. You got the Cavs and Pistons coming up on a back-to-back. That's going to be a really tough stretch, but you've got the Clippers left and you've got the Suns left and man, huge games down the stretch. You have Washington and you have Charlotte. This is a gift late in the year where you have 2 games against teams that are not trying to win.
16-win teams, both of them came in.
Actively trying to lose. This is a gift late in your schedule, and you just fumbled one with no effort. Because, again, Doug said in a press conference here at Golden One Center, he said, we may not play well every game. We're going to play hard every game.
Yep.
And they haven't. They didn't do that last night.
There was no pride.
That's the surprise. They came out against the Blazers, kicked the holy hell out of the Blazers. Looked great. Thought we would get that last night. Thought we would at least get the pride. Okay, you know what? We may be struggling. We're not struggling this bad. Let's take this opportunity to beat a team by 40.
And when, like in the third quarter, when things are going wrong, when do you not just say, look at your teammates and say, what are we doing?
Right.
Play harder.
Right.
All of you, stop what you're doing right now and just play harder.
Just try.
Show some pride.
Yep.
Nothing.
No
answer.
None. And now they're here. Worst Kings loss I've ever seen in my life.
Probably one of the top 3 that I've seen in the 15 years covering the team. But yeah,
so bad, dude.
In this moment, if you encapsulate everything that this loss meant, probably the worst loss I've ever seen.
All right. We'll have more on this. This is the most disappointing season in Kings history. I kind of think it might be. We'll talk about that. We might fit some baseball in. I've got some NFL draft notes if you want to talk about something else. I thought, hey, we should probably talk Kings today. So I have an Oliver Cromwell story to tell you.
Yeah.
It's Kings adjacent.
Okay.
Well, we could talk about that if you want to just get into 17th century English monarchy.
Maybe I'll counter that with some good Robespierre
conversation. Would love that.
Because I can talk French Revolution all day long.
We'll talk Kings, whether it's the Sacramento Kings or not, TBD. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's with us. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and this is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
Hang on. Somebody said something here.
Start starring chats.
Yeah. Where did that go? I agree there. Where did that comment go? Oh. Found it. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm excited to have that conversation. Sorry. What's going on, everybody?
Good question. Oh, John Bull is here? That's how you know it's bad. Because this is what sports does to us, bro. Sports is 99.99% pain. It's just a fact of life. But you go through that for what Joe was talking about today. You go through all of it for that game 1 at Golden One Center.
Exactly. That one moment. Absolutely.
And you just carry that little piece of joy with you. And then next year, no matter how awfully this train rolls off the tracks, we'll get here game 1 next season and be back on board.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
916-909-1320. 916-909-1320. That is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. We'd love to hear from you today. Anything you want, no take about the Kings is off limits. Anything, I will buy anything anyone wants to say today.
Are you sure?
If you're still like, I'm optimistic, cool. I would love to hear why. If you're like, trade everyone or whatever, I don't know, whatever the take is, it's on the table today.
Okay.
I'm going to agree with anybody. It's like, sure.
We got somebody on the line. I don't think I'm going to agree with what he has to say.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, it's Joe. He's in Elk Grove. Joe, let it rip, buddy. Joe, you're on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Go ahead.
Line win. Two things for you. First, Mr. Ham, the first thing, what about starting Malik Monk, DeRozan, Alice, Sabonis, and Murray, and bring Levine off the bench?
Who's Alice?
Ellis.
Oh, Ellis. Got it.
Ellis.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Keon, got it. Okay.
And my next thing after that, I'll take my answer up here for that one, James. And my next answer is the Clippers play the Mavs the next two games. Clippers need those games. They're going to win both of them against the Mavericks. So we're a game and a half behind the Mavericks right now. We're going to beat Charlotte on Friday. Trust me. Christie will have those guys ready to play. Cleveland plays San Antonio Friday. They sit players out. They play us Sunday. They're going to sit players out. Our one surprise win again will be Cleveland. We'll be tied with the Mavericks. We know the tiebreaker in the head-to-head series. 3-0. We got the 9th seed back.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue, buddy. Come on.
Awesome.
Kyle, you gotta
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you. So,
That
yeah,
always
sure.
made me laugh.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Kyle.
No, I like, sure, man. I wouldn't shock me, but I can't sit here and go, yeah, they're definitely going to beat Charlotte. How can you say that? How can you be certain the Kings are going to beat anyone right now?
Well, not only that, but it doesn't matter how many players the Cavs sit. They're still better than the Washington Wizards.
Yes.
They could sit 8 and they'd still be better than the Washington Wizards team you lost to last night.
They don't appear ready to coast.
No.
So
okay, so and to get to your point about why not start Malik Monk and Keon Ellis and DeMar DeRozan and Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis and bench Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, Zach LaVine is a problem. What's happening with Zach LaVine right now is a problem. So is what's happening with DeMar DeRozan. So, like, it's one or the other. I've said this the whole time. I don't care. Like, if you're gonna bench Monk, that seems strange to me because I got to be honest, they don't have a point guard, and Monk is the closest thing to a point guard that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Markelle Fultz minutes need to go away.
They got to stop.
They've got to stop. But I don't know what your other option is because now Devin Carter's hurt again. Right. So, but either way, I don't care. Like, go to a 7-man rotation and don't play another guard. Whatever you got to do. But for me, like, and it kind of brings me to this. Like, I started a comment from earlier.
Yeah. And
this right here. Ricky Nolan, media got what y'all wanted. Let's start Keon over Monk. LMAO. Dumbass decision. I'm so pissed about it. 1-6. Start Malik. Malik is 26-20 as a starter. I hope Malik gets out of sack.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here's the problem, Ricky Nolan. Tell me which of the games that Malik Monk has come off the bench in the last week. Which one of those games did he help the team win? Because I don't think there's an answer to that. I think the answer is none.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing well.
So if you're going to say, hey, you benched Malik Monk and now like, the whole world is ending because Malik Monk is coming off the bench. Well, how about he plays well when he does play?
It's a good call.
Because he's not. He's not at all. 6 turnovers one game, 5 turnovers the next. Like, that's not me saying, hey, Keon Ellis hasn't been any better. Keon Ellis has been horrible since you made the swap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that's happening, but I can tell you that Malik Monk is not the solution that everyone
Correct.
thought off the bench,
Correct.
and Keon Ellis is not the solution in the starting lineup.
Correct.
There is something else wrong with this team, and they have to figure out what that is.
And that was also never going to be a fix-all.
No.
It was just I thought it would help Zach LaVine. It hasn't. At least not substantially.
Yeah.
It hasn't helped their defense the way I thought it would. And Malik, since coming back from his illness and coming off the bench, hasn't been good.
Not at all.
So
no.
This is a larger issue than just Malik Monk or Keon Ellis.
Yep.
But it just kind of goes to show that this kind of whole thing needs to be scrapped. This is not a 1 or 2 moves away type of deal.
Nope. No. And
that's what that says to me.
I mean, and from top to bottom, I think from top to bottom, this whole thing has to be scrapped. Since coming off the bench, Malik Monk is 16 of 45 from the field, which is 35.6%. He's 6 of 20 from 3, which is 30%.
Mm-hmm.
He just hasn't played well at all. And not only that, but in the 4 games since coming off the bench, he's got 15 turnovers and 14 assists. 14 assists in 4 games. Like, again, this should be your primary ball handler.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, like, it doesn't matter. If you're going to swap one of these guys out, somebody has to raise their hand and say, I'll go to the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't, like, you have to coach them. You have to tell them, no, that's not going to happen. You need to go to the bench because you're not helping us in the starting lineup.
And there need to be clearly defined roles.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have that right now.
No, they're hanging on by a thread, trying to get through a season. Well, you're probably right. I mean, they're
hanging on to a thread.
They're 1 game above the Phoenix Suns. They're hanging on just barely. This is like an epic cat poster.
Yes. Yeah. The hang in there poster. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Steven has some stuff to get off his chest. What's going on, Steven?
Hey, good morning, boys. Hope you guys are enjoying this day, or at least whatever enjoyment you guys can get out of it, because this team has definitely sucked it out of me. I'll tell you that right now, man. Lifelong Kings fan here. I'm pretty sure everyone else who calls the station, typical thing. But, dude, my question mainly is, we've had two, I wouldn't say good, decent acquisitions, okay, over the last couple of years, okay? First off, it's amazing how quickly we can take at least 2 to 3, maybe even 10 steps backwards after we got into the playoffs. Okay, we get Kevin Huerter, and he has I wouldn't say a breakout season, but he has a really solid season. Okay, during the Beam Team era. Okay, and then he just falls off a cliff after he injures his finger, then completely forgets how to shoot. Maybe I'm speaking from emotion here, and maybe I shouldn't, but I'm just gonna let her rip. Zach LaVine is the same thing. He comes to this team after having a really a pretty good season, comes to the Kings, and then just craps the bed. Absolutely craps the bed. That's something that I feel like is more of an organizational type of situation, because, I mean, I'm going to put it out there like this, man. De'Aaron Fox was right. De'Aaron Fox was right. He got the heck up out of here because he didn't want to waste his time and waste the rest of his prime playing for an inept owner.
Oh, is out of here?
That doesn't have their ducks in a row. You know what I mean? And this team is slowly but surely taking my joy away from watching this team, man. And it just sucks. Thanks for letting me have the floor, boys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, Steven, thanks for the call. What's your favorite color? Oh, gone.
Oh, now we don't know Steven's favorite color.
He hung up. I did not hang up.
No, that's fine.
You had to fade him for a reason?
You had the right idea typically, but he was cooking.
Yeah, no, I could tell he was pretty passionate about that one.
Shout out to Steven. So I don't want, man. If you just need to get some stuff off your chest, go ahead.
I think he just got off on the wrong foot there. I think
Yeah.
the beginning was a little rocky. We
Well,
lost
fine.
our train of thought there for a second.
No, we brought it back.
We brought it back. No, he did great. I think it was a good call. Good job.
Thanks, Steven.
Huh.
Yeah,
the Beam team is Mondo is a Beam team officially over with. With the Beam.
Not always be around.
Yeah, the Beam will always be here, but the feeling of the Beam team, I believe, is gone.
It's not going to hit the same if they beat Phoenix on the last game of the season to get to 39-43.
Okay.
You know, like it just isn't going to quite feel the same.
No.
But, let's get to was it AD? Let's get to AD on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. 916-909-1320 if you'd like to join the show. What's going on, AD? AD, go ahead. Going once? Going twice? Gone.
Oh,
AD,
all right.
call back. Would love to hear from you. Maybe it was Anthony Davis.
It could have been.
I just wanted to
just calling to
check
gloat.
in, see how the Kings are. Did you see his game winner last night?
He's playing really well.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah, dude, it's just it feels like it is. It's the most disappointing season in Kings history. There's never been, at least in my experience and going back through and looking, there's never been the juxtaposition between preseason expectation and how far this has fallen.
Yeah.
Like there's been disappointing years. Like don't get into it. When you win whatever it is, like 17 games, like that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose in the playoffs, when you have a playoff series stolen from you, that's bad. Like I'm with it. I'm not trying to diminish the sports hurt that came with those things, but I was there at the Cal Classic when DeMar DeRozan came out on the base or on the sideline with Vivek,
mm-hmm.
and they're playing the Kendrick Lamar song, and everyone's like, "Wow, DeMar DeRozan!" And we're seeing all the videos about how here's how he's going to fit, and now they're insulated from a Malik Monk injury, and they got another guy who can score the basketball, and this and that, and wow, 51 wins was my number. I held on to that number for a while. 51 wins, and now they're just here. And this is not the conversation I expected to be having on April 3rd. And I maybe I'm missing one, but I tried to go back through and I never saw a year where there was this level of expectation, locally at least, where there was this level of expectation compared to this level of disappointment.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like the outside, they didn't believe this team was going to be very good.
Correct.
Like the DeMar DeRozan signing, and like most of the, like, I know we love to trash the national guys that are viewing this team from way far away and don't have a pulse on it and everything else. They have been right in this season. Yeah. And last season as well. Like every year I go on with Nate Duncan on the Dunked On podcast.
Yep.
And every year we have a discussion about this. We get to the end of the podcast. He gives his win total. I give my win total, and we're always way off. And I got to be honest, Nate Duncan is right. Yeah. Nate Duncan was right about this team and the construction of this team and where it was heading. And again, like you took a major step backwards, like just in age alone when you did the DeMar DeRozan for Harrison Barnes swap. Then you did it again when you did the De'Aaron Fox for Zach LaVine. And so I think the worst part is not only did this team underperform, are they underperforming and are they, clinging to life here, but they got older and they closed their window, and whatever window it was, it's gone.
You accelerated your timeline in reverse.
Yeah.
You accelerated your timeline and then went backwards.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's the worst thing you can do, is push your chips in and then lose more games than you did the previous year.
Even push
by
all
a substantial amount.
Yeah, and do a win now move with the De'Aaron Fox trade, where you
Oof.
took back a win now player in Zach LaVine, and then have it just backfire epically.
Horrendous.
Yeah, just like really, really tough look. And, I talked about this before, but the problem that I have with this team is not only, did you get older in all of these trades, but
Mhm.
like Jake LaRavia and Devin Carter are your two youngest players. I mean,
They're
Isaac,
25, 23.
Yeah, LaRavia is 23, right?
Yeah.
And Devin Carter is just turned
Just turned
23.
23. Yeah.
And then on top of that, like you have Isaac Jones. Isaac Jones is 24. He's actually he'll be 25 in July.
Golly.
Like this team doesn't have a young up and coming, like the future isn't just sitting there.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing? Like why would you develop a team like this? And not only you had this really tight age group that was 24, 25, 26
Mhm.
when Beam Team 1 started.
Yep.
And you had a couple of outliers in the
Sure.
29, 30-year-old Harrison Barnes.
Sure, veterans though.
Now though, your team is just, not only are they not good, but they're not young. There isn't a bright future to point to. And man, this has to be like the roster turnover this summer, whatever they have to do this summer has to be dramatic and aggressive. And sometimes you're gonna have to give up something to get rid of something. Like
Mhm.
this is going to be a very, very difficult
Yeah.
off season. And like the only way that you can do this is if, I don't even think you can rely on the guys that are there now to do
No.
it. Like this has got to be a complete overhaul at this point. And this was always the gamble at the trade deadline. It was always the gamble
Mhm.
that you were going to do this, like that it was going to all fall apart.
Yep.
And now we are where, to be honest, like a lot of us thought it might go.
Yep.
And it's just tough. It's tough because it sure did seem avoidable. All of this seemed avoidable.
Yeah. 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. TC wants to get in here. Let's got him. All right, go ahead, TC.
Hammer Kyle, what's up?
Chilling, bro.
What's going on?
Hey, man, I'm chilling. So before we get started, I got two favorite colors, green and red, right?
Love that.
So I'm going to get that.
Love Christmas.
I'm going to get that out the way, for sure.
Thanks.
Those are my two favorite colors, dog. Hammer, so check it out. I'm going to start with, I don't want this to come off like I'm like tripping because I love this guy, bro, with all my heart. And I truly believe that he's a coach moving forward, bro. But Dougie has to start coaching. The whole vibing, filling off vibes and Hall of Famer, bro, that's out. I know we got a couple games left, but we got to have to start coaching and making actual coaching hard decisions. Like, bro, if you're not going, you're on the bench. This is a coaching move. You can be mad at me. You can be mad at me if you want, but I'm making moves so we can win games as a coach, right? Not about Hall of Fame. You're the homie. I got a lot of respect for you, right? It is what it is. You got enough respect and cachet, Doug, as a human being and as a coach, bro. So, listen, you're going to have to start coaching in that aspect. As far as the offseason, we're going to have to, like, moves. You might have to even start selling people off for a penny of the dollars, right? To just get people out the building to get new people in, right? And when we move forward as far as players, we don't need, like, mentally – I can't say people are mentally weak, but we got a lot of those people on this team. We need a lot of dog people, right? A lot of people that come in and like, you know what, man, I'm coming in the balling brotherhood, but also I'm a killer. We got to start looking for more of those guys, bro, and start weeding out the weak-minded people on this team and getting them out of here. Some of them might be fan favorites, bro, but we got to start moving them out and bringing new people in, strong-minded people, bro. That's my two accusations as far as this season, dog, moving forward, man. Dougie, I love you, bro, but we got to start coaching.
Well said, TC. Appreciate the call. Daniel, I see you. Manny, I see you. We will get to your calls on the Elk Grove Kia talk line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320, and we'll continue sifting through the wreckage of a pretty dreadful Kings loss last night in Washington. James Ham's there. Joe Brazil's pushing buttons. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Yeah, good point by Zabo. Great. Love that. Thanks, Joe.
Tough.
Hey. Enough of the slogans. The daily fantasy slogans.
Oh. I'm wondering if TC's not colorblind because red and green being his favorite colors. I don't know.
What's wrong with red and green being your favorite colors?
It's just sort of strange colors to just be your favorite colors. And to have those two specific colors, which are usually colors that people who are colorblind
All right.
have trouble seeing. Is that one of your, are those your favorite colors?
I love a dark red and I love a dark green.
I too like dark green.
What are we going to do,
I'm also wearing red.
Oh my God. One of the K-pop groups I like very much is canceled.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
How do you get canceled as a K-pop group?
All right.
Wow.
No, Nick, I won't. I won't do that. I do. I'm a big Blackpink guy. Well, I was.
Are they no longer in existence?
Yeah, we had a tough set of videos come out about them too.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start
It's a tough go in the K-pop community.
What is happening?
Blackpink also had some
and one of their stars are part of
we have not.
Of White Lotus.
White
right?
Lotus, yeah, Lisa.
I like her character development in White Lotus.
Yeah. She's been good.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say that, Nick? No, I'm really excited to hear the answer to this. Oh, no White Lotus spoiler. Sorry, guys.
No, I wasn't trying to White Lotus spoil. I'm just saying
No, I was
character development there is good.
You don't, Bob. He owns the team.
Yeah, did anyone catch Vivek announce play ball before the A's first game?
Just really interested in the answers. No, I'd love the answer to this, too, Drew. Go ahead. I'd love that. Please.
Oh no.
It's nice, but I'm not totally sure it's going to be healthy for much longer.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
All right. We got 4 people on the line right now? 3. Who are they? You can just pop on air and say them. Who do we have on the line?
All right, so we have Javier. We have
Got it.
I believe Adam is still there.
Okay, shout out to Adam.
All of these names are different now. We got
Perfect.
We got 3 people. So,
all right, and then Manny or Daniel. One of them is there. Daniel's there.
Yeah,
Manny's gone. Good.
Daniel is next in line.
Okay, perfect. Daniel, we'll get to you shortly. We'll try and get to all your calls on the Elk Grove Kid Talk line 916-909-1320. Hey, I said I couldn't find silver linings from the Kings game last night. I found one. Our friends at Jiffy Lube are still giving away an exclusive Insiders hoodie and a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate, courtesy, of course, of Jiffy Lube. You can see the hoodie now at youtube.com/ESPN1320 and twitch.tv/ESPN1320. James is wearing it. It's got the custom Insiders logo, got that Jiffy Lube logo on the sleeve. Got it. It used to be in a couple different colors. I don't know exactly what inventory we have, but we have a hoodie for you and a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate. To enter to win, you go to ESPN1320.com. You enter the code word cooked, because that's what the Kings are.
Cooked?
They're cooked. COOKED. Enter the code word on the Jiffy Lube contest page at ESPN1320.com.
Joe, you might want to add different versions of cooked with extra O's.
No, just 2 O's. That's it. Just one version. I'm trying to limit the giveaway stuff.
Okay.
Like, I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible.
Of course.
So cooked, just 2 O's. COOKED.
So you go to the contest page,
Yeah.
you click the button, you
Yeah.
add the code word cooked, you're entered to win a Insiders hoodie and a $50 gift certificate to Jiffy Lube.
Hell yeah. Can't wait. Courtesy of Jiffy Lube.
Courtesy of Jiffy Lube.
Yeah. Find the contest rules at ESPN1320.com/rules.
Excellent. Excellent.
We did it. I think we covered it all.
We did.
I just got a call and I picked up. I said, ESPN 1320. This is Joe. He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. I think you have the wrong number."
What?
And I said, I think you called me. And he goes, "No, I'm calling a friend." And I
Put
said,
him on air.
I said, if you would like to go on air, you're on the ESPN 1320 hotline. He said, "I'll tune in. Thank you."
My man.
So he's
Come on.
shout out
Hey,
Ruth.
welcome, new listener.
Shout out Ruth. He's
Yeah,
going to
we
be
love
tuning in
Ruth.
now.
My
Yeah.
dog.
That's right.
Oh, man. All right. Let's get back into the Kings, I guess. Who was up next, Joe? Daniel? All right. Let's get to Daniel on the Elk Grove Kia Talk line. 916-909-1320. Go ahead, Daniel.
What's up, fellas? Hey, I look back at my fandom, and for some reason, man, I feel the lowest today, because when you look at Vivek, right? I hate to bring Vivek up because it seems like everybody does,
Sure.
but you got to look at him first before you even talk about what needs to be done. Should we blow it up and start over again? Should we do this? Should we do that? It starts with him, and in his 12 years, he's shown he's not going to do that. He's just not going to do that. So I want to ask Ham specifically, does he think, is there a point where it gets so bad that he finally changes, or does he actually look at this and think that he's on the right track? How can a smart man like this think that he's doing this correctly? Why can't he pass it off to people that know what they're doing? And why can't he see that he doesn't know what he's doing? I don't get why this can't change. This can't go on forever, can it?
All right. Good question, Daniel. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Awesome. Thanks. Go ahead, James.
Well, I mean, it can't go on forever because people don't live forever. That's
Good point.
That's how it can't go on forever. Basically, I don't know what to tell you. Like I've written about this, and when I write about this, it becomes like super, super sensitive inside the building, and everyone gets angry because, I may or may not have insinuated that the Kings weren't super happy with Mike Brown at the end of last season.
Right.
And, like it just becomes like this crazy
big hullabaloo.
Yeah. Like sensitivity thing that like they freak out about weird things. I don't know, like how many times does somebody have to make the same mistake? I've said this so many times before. Like I've taught my boys that it's okay to watch somebody else make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be the one who has to learn from a mistake every time.
Mhm.
You can go, hey, that's a bad idea. Or you can sit back and just, watch like something unfold and go, oh, that's not going to go well.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the one that makes a mistake every time, right?
Mhm.
That seems to be something that these guys they not only do they make the same mistakes,
Mhm.
they just don't learn at all from the previous ones.
Yep.
And like, again, an owner he's going to have his input on everything. Like almost every professional sports team has an owner that says yes or no to whatever. Like there are some that allow a front office or, management group to handle everything, but that's so few and far between.
Yeah.
What we don't have that I've seen in the past is somebody who honestly believes that when you fire Michael Malone, 24 games into a season, that's a good thing and you're going to win from then on.
Right.
Because that didn't happen.
Nope.
And then when it doesn't happen, when you have to fire, Ty Corbin and you bring in George Karl to save the season. Again, so we're just in the perpetual cycle of the same exact thing. When you fire Luke Walton, assuming that Alvin Gentry will turn the team around and fix everything. When you fire Mike Brown and assume that Doug Christie is going to turn everything around,
Mhm.
like what would make you believe that that's going to be the case? Nothing in the history of this franchise that you've seen play out time and time again would make you believe that that will be the case. So why do you keep thinking the same thing will work and doing the same exact thing? And that's the difficult part, because until you fix like that basic rudimentary thing, that instability is the worst thing for an NBA franchise.
Mhm.
Until you fix that,
That's it.
you're always going to be this team. You're always going to be this group. And every once in a while, a broken watch is right twice a day.
Yep.
Every once in a while, you're going to pop up and win 48 wins, have a 48 win season. Everyone's going to be super excited. But in order to have longevity and to have something that's positive, that's moving forward, that is doing the right things and building the right way, the only way to do that is to find stability and build on that.
Yes. That's it, man. Not every step backwards needs to be the end of the world. You won 48 games one year, you won 46 the next. That doesn't mean, oh my God, tear it down, make wholesale changes. Like, no. What went wrong? What small fixes do we need to make?
Yeah.
What small tweaks do we need to make to continue? Okay, we're on a track. We're on a right path. How do we keep taking steps forward on this path? Not, okay, new path.
Yep.
Just anything to keep from bottoming out entirely. Cool. So you're going to be mediocre.
Well, and I don't even know if they're, first of all, they're not mediocre right now.
No.
And so I don't know what going forward they are, whether they're going to be mediocre or not.
Right. But they're going to be in that, space between, okay, they're not tanking out. They're not going to be a 15-win team in the hunt for the number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also just kind of battling for the back end of the play-in-ish. Like that's just kind of where they are, just for the sake of saying like, hey, we're fighting for a postseason spot. That just can't be the goal. There needs to be something longer term. There needs to be an understanding that this is a window. Beam Team 1, the 22-23 season, was the start of a window. You tried to run it back. You took a step back. That doesn't mean, oh my God, the coach needs to be fired. Or excuse me, the coach shouldn't be extended.
Yeah.
It's, hey, where did this team lack? Okay, let's figure out what are the ways that we can bolster that weakness. Make that weakness a strength. And being willing to do things like dip into the luxury tax.
Yeah.
Which we're still not sure if they'd be willing to do.
Nope.
Doing things like not just giving away draft picks to unload salary.
Mm-hmm.
Like just there's all these things like, dude, it's small tweaks to just keep rowing the right direction. Like stay on a path.
Yeah. Like when you're renovating a home,
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever walked into a home and said, hey, you see that window right there? Can you make that window smaller?
Would love for that window to be a little smaller.
And then next year you're like, you know what? You didn't make that window small enough. Can you pull that window out and reframe it, re-sheetrock the inside and redo the outside? And can you make the window smaller? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
The answer is not just to bail on a 27-year-old, like former all-star point guard because times get tough.
Yeah.
The answer is to figure it out, to sit down and figure it out, to have the conversations that are difficult and to figure it out, not to call the guy as a last resort when you're trading him.
Right.
Not to be the guy who calls him, say, hey, we traded you.
And if you are, and if you have decided that this is untenable, De'Aaron Fox is not the player we thought he was. He doesn't want to be here. This relationship is over. You don't go then get a 30-year-old.
Yeah, you don't
who doesn't fit what you're doing.
You don't just make the window smaller.
It does.
You just keep. Now you're on a sinking ship looking at a little round hole.
A porthole.
It's really, really difficult.
All right.
Sorry about that.
I think we mixed metaphors there, but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's all good.
We're cooking today, Kyle. We're fine.
It's all good.
Everything's fine.
I know we got a bunch of people. Joe, we'll figure it out at the break. Who's there, who's not. We've still got people on the Elk Grove Kia talk line. Would love to get to your calls. We'll do that in the second hour. We've got more Kings. We might get to the A's got smoked in a 3-game series against the Cubs. The San Francisco Giants are cooking, but so's the rest of the NL West. We might get to those things. I've landed on an NFL draft crush. If anybody cares.
Yeah.
We might get to that, but I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of Kings. Sacramento Kings, TBD. But we're going to talk about Kings in the second hour. That's James. I'm Kyle. He's Joe. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center.
I should save this to say on air, but I will tell all of you, like,
I'm going to go talk to Joe real quick.
Vivek Ranadive does not want to have a bad team. He doesn't. He does not. This is like it's unintentionally intentional or intentionally unintentional. I don't know. It's not something that, like, he does want to win. And it's something that, he is very, very involved in what's happening here. But that doesn't change anything. Like, tough. Yeah, like Mark, this is not like a John Fisher situation. No. In fact, Vivek is trying to add more professional sports to your town. That's why the A's are here, because Vivek wants to add more professional sports to this town. But at the same time, like, there has to be a moment of clarity here. And I don't ever think there will be a moment of clarity where he goes, oh my gosh, I'm part of what's happening here, and like, it's difficult. Yeah. This one. I totally agree with this. It's hard for people that are successful in one arena to not want to get involved in other areas, even if they don't fully understand it. I worked for Copeland Sports for years. I've said that before. Like, I worked for Copeland's, and I also, before that, I worked in the grocery industry. A grocery store like conglomerate bought Copeland's, and I could see on day one that they didn't understand the difference between grocery and sporting goods, and they ran that business into the ground so fast, and Copeland's was gone within maybe a year. Just dismantled and just incompetence. And it's because they're two different businesses. One of the, the grocery business, your margins are like super small, like 2%, but you're dealing in bulk. I don't know where Kyle's at. Oh, here he comes.
Hour number 2. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Mads, and Joe Brazil's with us.
Nailed it, Kyle.
Yeah, internal clock and stuff, you know? Talking a lot of Kings after a 116-111 loss to the Washington Wizards last night. To the 16-win, now 17-win Washington Wizards, who just last week gave up 162 points in regulation to the Pacers.
I think it's easier to call them a 59 loss.
Ah, that's good. Yeah, 59 loss team. That's
Yeah.
good. A team that's going to lose 60-plus games.
Mm-hmm.
And a game the Kings kind of like, they need to win these.
Just a little bit.
And they just...
We're going to talk about Kings.
Yeah.
Not the Kings.
Oh, you want to talk about Oliver Cromwell?
Yeah, like we had this idea to talk about, you know.
Okay, great. Yeah, we can do that. And then we'll get to the Elk Grove Kid talk on to get us back into the Sacramento Kings. We got some people waiting. And we will get to your calls for sure. No, but I was thinking last night, trying to figure out different things we could talk about with the Kings. And I was kind of like, maybe if we just talk about like non-Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
So then I started going back and thinking about English Monarchs. And it led me to something I learned while I was in England that I would love to share with all of you. I don't know if anybody knows who Oliver Cromwell is. There's probably some history professor or person who with a master's in history or whatever.
And this is not Nolan Cromwell, the safety for the Let's Ram It Rams.
No, very different person. This is
Yeah.
Oliver Cromwell, English politician, military man in the 17th century. I'm going to tell a very truncated version of this story, and I'm just going to kind of try and keep it to the nuts and bolts. So Oliver Cromwell was one of the people who spearheaded the execution of Charles I and the elimination of the English monarchy in the mid-17th century. It helped establish the Commonwealth of England. So basically, there was the long line of English monarchs. Charles I gets executed, and there's the Commonwealth of England.
Mm-hmm.
There's no monarch. Eventually, Oliver Cromwell became Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of England, and he held that position until he died in 1658. His kid then took over that position, and again, truncated nuts and bolts version of this story, sucked at the job, was just ass.
Yeah, it's not good.
Creates a power vacuum, and eventually Charles II, who had been the King of Scotland, comes down, overtakes England, and the monarchy is reestablished in 1660, I think.
Okay.
Charles II, who is Charles I's son, FYI. Charles I, who, again, Oliver Cromwell had him executed.
Yep.
Or was one of the people who had him executed. Charles II was so pissed at Oliver Cromwell, who's been dead for 2 years, FYI.
Okay.
Died in 1658. Charles II took back over in 1660. On the 12th anniversary of Charles I's execution, they exhume Oliver Cromwell's body and hang him.
Yep.
They hung him posthumously because they were so mad at him. And then they lopped off his head, tossed his body in a ditch, and displayed his head on Westminster Hall for 23 years.
That's a long time.
Do you know how mad you have to be at somebody to have them be dead for 2 years, 2 years, and then be like, hey, actually, we're going to dig this guy up, and then we're going to kill him again, and then we're going to kill him again.
And then we're going to make sure everyone knew we killed him.
And then we're going to make it really clear. We're going to put his head on a spike on Westminster Hall. And then they built a statue for him, and it's in Parliament now.
That's bold.
Wild. Oliver Cromwell, fascinating person. Check
Yeah.
out his wiki page. It's nuts.
I would
That's my Kings related thing to talk about today.
I would much rather talk about just, like this type of stuff. Like we could sit here and do history lessons all day.
Sure.
Yeah. I love the French Revolution and French history.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Like Robespierre, Maximilian Robespierre.
Mhm.
It's sort of a similar thing. He helped overthrow the king in France and had them executed. And then
Louis the 13th?
I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the 14th. Oh, well, I should know this. Either way, he ends up like running the reign of terror for like 9 months, where they kill like 14,000 people, 1,400 people.
Ridiculous, like blood running in the streets.
Yeah, they use a guillotine.
Yes.
Yeah, just off with their heads until they eventually shoot him in the face, or it's possible he tried to commit suicide. We're not sure which. There's some, but he doesn't die.
He winds up with a bullet hole in the face.
He's just very miserable until they lop his head off. Yeah.
Incredible.
And then, of course, this leads to Napoleon and like all
Right.
of that. So it's complicated, but yeah, it's like, hey, if
you could tell me anything about the French Revolution and things they did during the French Revolution, and I would believe it.
Oh yeah,
it's just an unbelievable period of history.
Oh, it's like the craziest 2 or 3 year period ever. I mean, like the storming of the Bastille and all this stuff. Yeah, it's just it's wild.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Alas, we have to talk about the Sacramento Kings instead. I know, man.
How does this happen?
Let's get to Adam. He's in Michigan? Shout out to Michigan.
I think he's just left here because he doesn't want to be here.
That's totally fair. Adam in Michigan. What's going on?
What's up, fellas? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Guys, I don't know why I'm a Kings fan in Michigan. I grew up in Sacramento, but I've been in the Midwest for nearly 15 years, and yet I can't just kick this Kings thing.
Sorry.
I don't really know, man. It's rough. If I'm being real, though, I think it's because guys like you and the fan base that regardless of heartbreak, we just stay loyal and keep on fighting. And regardless how incompetent this organization is, we're still here.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
We sure are. Adam, what's your favorite color?
I think, favorite color is certainly not purple. Let's go blue.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
We've got a lot of blue so far.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like everybody's favorite color is going to be a primary color.
It's not like magenta.
Mine is technically cardinal, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not red. Like your sweatshirt is like scarlet red.
Oh yeah, it's red.
Mine's more of like a darker red, like Stanford Cardinal, like that color red.
Yeah, I'm like forest green.
Yeah, good dark green.
Yeah. The sweater I wore yesterday, I think was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really good. Is Javier still there? All right, Javier, go ahead and cook. What's up?
How you doing, Mr. Madison, Mr. Hand? Just want to apologize last week for that reference I made. I didn't mean.
Bro, all good.
Just go.
All good. Let it rip, bro.
All right, so I just wanted to see, because how the team ineptitude is more than prevalent in all the fans out there. The fight, like how you just said about making mistakes with your children, Mr. Ham. Like they lost 5 games, straight. They were 13 and 18. But again, the coach that was the coach of the year brought us out of a 16-year drought, and the generational talent that De'Aaron Fox was, at least in this city, not in the NBA per se, to just give up on it, you think logistically, whether this is rational or not, if a bunch of fans, 100, 200, came to the game with the Kings logo with the word SC or the words SCLL, those letters with Fire Monty or Celtics, some of that, would that even have any resignation of anybody at the top? Obviously not Vivek, but this is just a consistent, no matter what anybody says, from the dismay with my phone call with the Kings players, the organization, the head coach. I love Doug Christie.
Oh,
he's gone. Joe's fed up.
All right.
That was on Joe. That's not me.
I don't
control the phones,
and I don't touch buttons.
Joe is done.
All right.
Fair enough.
That's fine.
Joe said he's done. I don't think that you might know this better than I do, but from where I sit, given how prevalent and front and center Vivek is at games, if a bunch of people pulled up with Fire Monty signs or whatever, I think it would have some sort of impact. I don't know if he'd actually do anything because of an outcry of a couple hundred fans at a game. But I do think he would see it and notice it and take it into account.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, the in-stadium people, if you started like a sell the team chant, would drown that out. Secondly, there would be a directive that it would not play on the broadcast at all. That you couldn't pan to somebody in the stands with a shirt I know all of this to be like factual, and I
That's
do.
what the Mavericks are doing.
Yeah, and I actually know that there was a point where things did get ugly here, and fans did try to like do some of this stuff in the past, and like the franchise is well aware of what's happening, and they are someone like they crowdsource everything, but they see everything.
Yeah,
They listen
sure.
to everything.
There's probably somebody listening to this show right now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, somebody's job is to listen to this. It's to listen to the podcast, like whatever. Like they
To
are
consume the media.
they're omnipresent,
What
right? And so for me, like, look,
up, Kings in play? Hope your day's going well.
fans, do whatever you want to do. Like I but it's not going to impact. I don't think anything. I mean, you
Probably not.
literally have an owner who sits at half court every single game. He's missed maybe 2 or 3 games like all season, but he's always there. And like, would he hear it? Yeah. Would he not like it? No, he would not like it. But at the
Understandably.
yeah. At the same time, like there has to come a point where this thing gets fixed, or maybe it's not. Maybe you are like the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. Like we've seen other franchises go through just years and years and years. I mean, decades. The Clippers under Donald Sterling went for decades of horrible, horrible basketball. And, to be honest, like there are so many things that Vivek has done well in Sacramento that I at times I feel bad that he hasn't allowed himself to have like sustained success as a basketball owner, where all of the accomplishments that he's had outside of the game of basketball would be recognized. But it's the reality that he lives in. So like until you figure out ways to do things differently, this is going to be how you're thought of in your community. And,
That's it.
It's tough.
And that's where we've seen so much of the sentiment online specifically. We talk about Doug Christie or Keon Ellis or Domantas Sabonis or DeMar DeRozan or whoever, and people go, it's ownership. Like it's that. Like, yeah, but guess what? Ownership's not going anywhere.
No.
So it's about trying to find solutions within that.
Yeah.
And if you've reached a point with whether it's the Kings or the A's or the 49ers or the Raiders or the Sharks or whoever, or the Giants, where you're like, I'm done with this ownership group, then okay.
Yeah.
Like your support for the team is going to have to be different then, because like I said, the owner doesn't get traded. The owner doesn't get fired.
Nope.
They're around.
They are. And that's one of the
and
most
they're not going to sell, they're going to move the team.
Nope.
Anyways. We got time for one more? Yeah, let's get to Manny. Manny has been waiting patiently on hold for an hour and a half. Manny, go ahead, man.
Man, this is one of the craziest seasons. I said it last night. This is one of the craziest seasons that I've ever seen of a team with so much talent. And it's again, I said it last night, it's Timu Gumbo. Like they just put a whole bunch of stuff together and they just expected it to work out, and they just kept doubling down and doubling down. And, it all circles back to accountability from the players, to ownership, to management. And even like when they fired Brown, the next thing I saw after they fired Mike Brown, which was done so horribly, was Vivek making a video wishing Keon happy birthday, saying how Monty made the greatest move in getting this dude. And it didn't even feel like it was really meant about the happy birthday. It was more like him trying to force Monty into everybody's face, saying, don't worry about this guy over here that got fired. This is the genius over here. Wesley's, Monty's still here. And I think with a lot of the fan base, it's not just about these guys quitting and all that. It's also about like, when it's all said and done at the end of this season, do you trust anybody here right now that's working, whether it's the owner, whether it's Monty that ends up staying or the next person that he brings in? Do you trust anybody to even get it right, even if you cleared house, even if you went and traded, whoever's tradable at this point and getting whatever assets are getting back? And even if they made decent trades of draft picks, getting those draft picks right, bringing like on every single level right now of this organization and of this team, it looks so inept and looks so dire that even if they did all that, people will still sit around and be like, you're not going to get it right anyway. Like that's where a lot of the fan base is. And then with Vivek, I just need him to come out and say, I messed up. Like, I did some things wrong. I'm going to try to get better at this. But he doubles down so much that he really believes that he's doing this great job with the team, and he's not.
Thanks, Manny. Appreciate the call. That's where, like, maybe this year is a silver lining in that. Maybe this is the year where, and again, I don't know. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying really hard.
He hasn't talked to the media in years.
No, and he's not going to. Like, owners don't do that. At least not typically. So he's not going to come out and hold a press conference and be like, hey, my bad. But is this what allows him to, is this season so bad that he goes, I need to change the way I'm doing things instead of doubling or tripling or quadrupling down? I don't know. But I currently, right now, as of today at 11:15 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on April 3rd, 2025, do I have faith that whether it's Vivek or anybody around him is going to make the right decisions this summer? No. I have no reason to.
No.
There's no reason to give them the benefit of the doubt at this point.
No,
You have to earn that.
like 12 years. 12 years
Yeah.
of,
Of doing the same thing and failing over and over again.
Yeah.
But maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year that'll change everything. All right. We've got callers on the line. We got to step aside momentarily. We'll get your calls at the Oak Grove Kia Talk line. We're still talking Kings. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil is with us. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Center. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, where did that?
Just a full rebrand? David Jackson's an ideas, man, and I like that.
Yeah, there's. Yeah, I want to bring this back up.
Sorry. Go ahead. Take it.
I want to bring this back up too, Wheezy. He does do great things off the court, and his people, or the people around him, do great things off the court. And Golden One is one of the best in the league. The Doco's amazing. They are very inclusive and progressive as a franchise. All of these things are right.
Yep.
But that, unfortunately, it will always be overshadowed by whether you're successful or not on the court.
1,000%, dude. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that you were judged on.
Yep. Yeah, so it's tough, man. This is a franchise that just like it consumes itself so often. It just like, and hey, the one thing I'm going to point out, like that I'm going to say Manny got it wrong on. There are great people working in the walls of Golden One Center. And I would say, like, first and foremost, shout out to the training staff who has done another incredible job, who are fully dedicated. They work their butts off. The weight and there are so many people there. The medical staff, training staff, that are keeping the players healthy and on the court. Like, there are a lot of people who do good work there, but that doesn't mean that, they're always going to get overshadowed, just like Vivek is by the loss, the losing. No, I know what you're saying, Manny, but there are people who are doing good jobs, and who they are getting overshadowed by what this is, because I know that there are a lot of people that care deeply and who are trying to make this thing work, and there are people that are working around the clock to get Domantas Sabonis back on the court after 6 days.
So Ruth is Boston Jack, and I just talked to him, and he is a Kings fan. Like, he had a ton of things to say. So there we go. He's online as well.
All right,
I can't wait. I can't wait to tell him he has the wrong number.
That's funny.
No, he's not.
In our hearts, maybe.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham there, Joe Brazil here. I'm Kyle Madsen. YouTube.com/ESPN1320, Twitch.tv/ESPN1320. If you would like to watch the program, Casey Tucker, this message needs a comma, please. And once you do that, we will repost it. But if you are watching, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. We would appreciate that immensely.
That's too good, man. That is hilarious.
I did that last night.
Did.
Morgan Reagan on the post game was cooking. Like, her and Deuce were, I thought, awesome at halftime. I thought they were awesome after the game. They did a really, really great job. And I said cook and tagged Morgan, but it looked like I was saying Cook Morgan, not Cook, comma, Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
So commas save lives, guys.
They do.
Anyways, let's get out to, so if you missed it earlier, we've been taking your calls on the Oak Grove Kia Talk on, because James and I, we get to say our piece every day. This is, we want people on the show all the time. But after a loss like last night, there we go. Thank you, Casey Tucker. After a loss like last night, we want to hear from you guys. Like, this is a vent sesh for you. And we had somebody call in and tell Joe, our producer, you have the wrong number. And Joe's like, you called us. So that person hangs up.
I didn't call you. You called us.
Person says, I'm going to listen. Well, they listened and decided they wanted to jump in on the conversation.
We've converted somebody.
We have a new listener. It's Boston Jack. Boston Jack, go ahead. You have the correct number. You're on the Insiders on the Elk Grove Kia Talk line. What's up?
Hey, I'm back. I'm a convert.
Love it.
Yes.
Thanks, Jack.
So my first question for you guys is Levine and DeRozan the best 2-3 combination offensively we've had in the history of the Sacramento Kings?
Is that
that again?
Is that the best?
Yeah, is that the best two? I think the Sacramento Kings have long been slight in those two skill positions, the 2 and the 3. And it seems offensively that DeRozan and Levine, at least on paper is potential, are our best 2 offensive players in those positions paired. Peja and Christie were great, but I think Christie wasn't an offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, I would take Richmond and Lionel Simmons. Like, look, the pair doesn't work. Yeah. So I know that on paper.
Thanks for the call, Jack.
Yeah, is one thing. I get that. But, like, again, nobody ever
from a
championships.
From a pure, like, just stacking their numbers next to each other on Basketball Reference, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's kind of what he was getting
I think that's what he was getting at. Yeah, I'll buy that. But then because he said paper's potential, but functionally that duo didn't work in Chicago and it's not working here.
No. I mean, are they, like, on paper better than Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes? Absolutely.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, and you could probably make that argument that most of the combos there, you know.
Yeah, I think in that respect he's probably right. But they're not top 5 in 2-3 duos you actually want to have.
No. I mean, I would say maybe it's possible that Kevin Martin and Ron Artest, statistically speaking, would be like.
Oh, was he not done?
Close to it. Oh,
sorry, Boston Jack. Call back. I thought he was done. I thought that was just a question.
Oh, okay.
My bad. If you want to call back,
say my first question.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. All right. Well, that's my fault. I'll wear that one.
All right.
It's on me.
All right.
Let's get to Bronson. What's up, Bronson?
What's up, guys? I'll make this quick and easy. If the Kings end up keeping their I'm going to say what's up and good morning. I appreciate you guys, by the way.
What's going on, man?
Thanks, Bronson.
Hey, if we end up keeping our pick and it doesn't convey over to the Hawks, would the Hawks be interested in working out another deal? Because if we don't get it this year, odds are we're not going to keep our pick, or we are going to keep our pick next year for rebuilding. Would the Hawks rather fix it so they don't get 2 seconds? What are your thoughts on something like that?
Thanks for the call, Bronson.
I mean, if they don't get it this year, they're gonna hold out and see what happens. Like, the Hawks are trying to rebuild, but then they started winning too. Like, and they don't even have their pick this year. It goes to San Antonio, so they had no reason to tank. And they've got, a bunch of young guys there that are trying to figure things out and are turning a franchise around, strangely enough. But yeah, I don't think that the Kings or the Hawks would be interested in working something out at this point because it's top 10 protected for next season.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that the Kings, they're going to try to win next season. Again, what you don't want to do is completely just, throw your franchise away and say, hey, we're going to be bad for a couple of years so we can keep that pick.
Yeah.
But at this point, like I was telling Kyle earlier, you look at where the Bulls are and where the Heat are, there's a possibility if the Kings were to lose out or were to maybe win one more game the rest of the way, they could fall all the way to the 10th spot in this year's draft. And that doesn't, the 10th spot is probably a decent pick in this year's draft, but it also puts you in line where, the 13th, 14th, 12th, 13th, 14th, the mathematical possibilities of moving up to the top 4 are very slim, but the 10th pick, it has higher percentages of moving into the top 4, like considerably higher.
So now they're tanking.
Where it's not too late. It's what
tanking to try to get. You mentioned the Bulls.
Yeah.
Our buddy Chris Biederman from the Sacramento Bee posted this today. The Bulls in their last 15 games. Again, remember they traded Zach LaVine to the Kings. The Bulls in their last 15 games are 10-5. The Kings are 4-11. The Bulls are tied for the 4th best record in the NBA over that span. The Kings are the 3rd worst, ahead of only Philadelphia and Utah.
Yeah.
Woof.
I mean, we looked at the whole thing. Aren't the Kings like 11-16?
Yeah.
Since acquiring, or
Yeah.
no, in games that he played, they're 10-16.
Yeah.
With Zach LaVine on the roster.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to keep saying this. I don't think it's all Zach LaVine's fault.
No, it's a roster construction problem.
It's a roster construction. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's just a bad mix of players.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put it all on him.
I messed up earlier, and Boston Jack had more to say. So that's on me. Boston Jack, we have decided that you were correct. On paper, this is the best 2-3 duo the Kings have had. Functionally, it is not. Go ahead.
So question number 2, would Keegan Murray be helped to be on the offensive set to be put in the corner? And I'm thinking back on how the Warriors used Harrison Barnes in that way, because Keegan does the lion's share of defense. And I'm thinking if you put him there, it would help his energy conservation and at the same time set him up in a position or a place that he's comfortable with on the floor. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's kind of what the Kings do. It's
Mhm.
what they've done the last 2 years is they've hidden Keegan in the corner.
Mhm.
And it is partially to conserve his energy and to make sure that he's there on the defensive side of the ball because he's going to get the toughest cover no matter what.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you spent the number 4 pick in the NBA draft on Keegan Murray, and you did that because you thought he could average 20-something points a game.
Correct.
And that he would be an all-star level player. And to take a player and minimalize his role on the offensive end because you can't go out and find better defensive players or players that fit his role, that just seems like a miscarriage of justice for Keegan Murray. So, again, if you could get to a point where next season Keegan Murray is allowed to average closer to 18 or 20 points a game, but Jake LaRavia is back and is filling in as part of that Keegan Murray role,
Mhm.
that makes more sense. Like going out and getting players that could help elevate Keegan Murray
Mhm.
would make sense. And again, don't take this as a knock on DeMar DeRozan, but DeMar DeRozan is the exact opposite of what you needed to put alongside Keegan Murray.
Right.
If you hoped for Keegan Murray to develop as an offensive player, you basically brought in a guy who consumes the offense and takes all of the light from the offense from a player like Keegan who doesn't have a big voice and demand
Right.
that he gets more.
Right.
And so,
which is a Keegan problem. Keegan's personality is not DeMar DeRozan's fault.
no, and DeMar DeRozan is who he is, and Keegan Murray is who he is, and the pairing,
Oil and water.
but from the view of 100 feet above, as a front office, you should have been able to see that would be what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you had 3 years of tape to see how the DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine relationship might play out on the court. And so, like, these are things that like are avoidable. You should have been able to like see that
in theory,
but no,
man.
Yeah.
916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Rolling through with your calls on the Oak Grove Kia Talk line. Maddie is on line 1. Go ahead, Maddie.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to pose a question. It's a very simple question, I guess. With how inept this organization has been since Vivek bought the team, do you guys know? I guess if he has advisors or handlers who has a pulse on how the city feels. Like, do they tell him like how we all feel, or like, because obviously things haven't changed since he's bought the team and with all the failures we've had. Do you know if like people talk to him about these kinds of things?
Thanks, Maddie.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd imagine
there are people that if nothing else probably shield him from some of this. But like if Vivek wants to open up Twitter and see like people who are mentioning him, but again, I don't know that he runs his own Twitter account, and I'm going to guess that he probably doesn't. And so, like, look, I don't know. Like, I think this is a little bit of like Emperor's new clothes or Emperor wears no clothes type situation where, like, I don't think that people are definitely are like saying, "Hey, do you understand how bad this looks on the outside?" And like, look, this was a basketball move that went wrong.
Sure.
Like, this is not I don't know how to put it. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know that they view it as catastrophically as we do.
No.
Like, they go, okay, this is a basketball move that went wrong. Let's shuffle the deck. Let's get some new basketball people in here and right the ship.
Yeah.
I don't know that Vivek views this, or the just kind of ownership group, the group of decision makers views this as this, like, it's bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they're looking at it like everybody needs to be fired. This is horrible. Tear it all down. What are we doing? I don't know that the feeling in the building is the same as the feeling outside of it.
Well, yeah, but I also think as the owner, you always have the ability to deflect to somebody else.
Right.
You always have the ability to say, well, like, it wasn't me who made the trade. It was Monty.
Right.
Or it was Wes, and Wes already left.
Right.
You know, it wasn't me. It was them.
Right.
And I mean, that may or may not
even though
be
they hired them, but yeah,
factually correct. Yeah.
Sure.
I did want to bring up, so right now the Kings are the 13th highest percent, like, in the draft lottery, right? They have a 92.9% chance of landing right where they are, the 13th pick.
Okay.
Like if the lottery were to happen today, and a 2.3% chance of dropping to 14th. So overall, their opportunity to move up is like a 1%, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.4 of landing 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you were the 10th pick, you only have a 65.9% chance of being the actual 10th pick,
mm-hmm.
and a 19% chance of being the 11th. But your chances of moving up are like a 3%, a 3.3, a 3.6, and a 4.
Mm-hmm.
So your chances of moving up are way greater,
right,
than staying at than if you were the number 13 or
well.
So.
And your chances of falling out where you're losing your pick this year are nil.
Well, yeah, there would almost mathematically be no way if
three teams behind you would need to move up into the top 4.
Yeah, and those 3 teams would have like such a small percent chance of actually moving up. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if that's the move, is keeping the pick this year, then cool.
Yeah.
It's like a very small consolation, though.
Do we have more? Do we have more callers?
Yeah, we sure do. We've got Denton.
Yeah.
Denton wants to talk about Doug Christie on the Elk Grove Kia Talk Line. What's up, Denton?
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for the call.
Good.
Do you think Doug could survive if we lose out or only get one more win?
Thanks, Denton. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, could you hear me?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we heard you. Yep.
Okay. And the other question I had was about Zach. I mean, like offenses is obviously superpower. Why didn't he shoot the ball more?
Boy, great question.
That's a good question.
Really good
It
question.
is. That's a good question.
Does Doug survive if they lose out? I don't know if Doug survives now.
Yeah, but I can also tell you there's a possibility that Doug survives either way.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah,
I think we've moved beyond where I think we are. Is what I said earlier. I think we've moved beyond the just like, oh, just remove the interim tag. We're good. You need to do a coaching search. You need to bring in Taylor Jenkins. You need to bring in assistants from other teams that you like. Maybe it's Bobby Jackson.
If Nick Nurse is available.
Sure. You need to bring these guys in and interview them. But if Doug in that process shakes out as like, man, you know what? We really think he's the guy to lead the team, then cool. But I think that's going to be via the interview process. It can't be based on what happened this year.
Well, that and what I would hate to see is for they go through the interview process, they give the job to Doug, but then they hedge their bet by forcing Doug to take on one of these other coaches because they have head coaching experience. Doug should be able to. He should bring in a head coach, a coach with head coaching experience. But what he should not do is just blindly hand over his assistant, the building of his coaching staff to somebody else. This needs to be, if he's going to be the guy, he needs to have the same rights that every other coach ever gets, and that's to hire their own staff.
Yep.
And so, yeah,
it can't be, we're doing you a favor hiring you, so we're going to do all the no.
Yeah. And I would also say, like, look, this was always my concern, and it's a concern that I had voiced to Doug multiple times in the past, because this wasn't the first time that Doug's name came up as a potential head coach. And I told him, this is a freight train out of control. There is no way to wrestle this thing back. And, again, they almost gave him the job when they fired Luke Walton. Like, what are you doing? You take that job, you're going to be burned out of Sacramento like anyone else.
Yep.
And your life expectancy as a coach in other cities would be damaged beyond anything as well. So your best bet is to bide your time, wait until this thing turns, and then hopefully you get to take over at a good point down the road. And that's where I think this started out as, but where it's at right now, it's a difficult situation. And, again, Doug isn't dealing with a full coaching staff. He's dealing with a roster that was haphazardly thrown together at the All-Star break. And this is what you get when you do stuff like this. This is what happens. I would have liked to, I know people are like, oh, De'Aaron Fox was checked out. I would have liked to have seen if Doug could have reached De'Aaron Fox as a player and said, hey, can we get through this? And can we move forward and everybody get in the room? And can we move forward as a group and let bygones and try to win everything this season? And we'll figure out what we do in the offseason. I would have liked to have seen that actually happen, and not what did happen was, not only having a coach get fired, but a couple of weeks later having your best player get traded. And that you just put somebody in a bad situation where, again, I think the fact that he's still over 500 at this point is barely, but it's crazy.
Kind of nuts
that he's still hanging on.
Yeah.
And that's without, a couple of assistants and a couple of other things that they need for this team to be successful.
Denton also asked, why isn't Zach LaVine shooting more? Beats me.
Yeah.
I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you find an answer, let us know. Mitch in New Jersey. Go ahead, Mitch. Been hanging on the line all day. We appreciate the hell out of you. What's going on, bud?
It's on anyway. So people look at me like I, have two heads, but whatever. Now the chat room will be going. It's like a roast, Demon. Hey, so you're saying there's a chance you could be in the top 4, top 3? That's awesome. Kid Doug. I hope. Is it possibility that with the twos, trying to remember this coming draft, can we have like 3 or 4 picks? Because that's what we need. We need an influx of young people. If we have to trade, is this a bonus? Because I guess we're stuck with the 2, DeMar and Zach. I would trade Sabonis over Keegan and get more, and Sabonis is much older.
All right. Thanks, Mitch. He's got a plan. Nothing is off the table for me.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
The DeMar and LaVine duo is not tenable. One of those two has to go, if not both. If Sabonis wants out, all right, you got to do that. If somebody's going to give you something for Keegan, sure. It's all on the table this summer. there's nothing where I'm like, yeah, hey, that's a surefire thing moving forward.
No, I do think that everything is on the table, but there are things that I would do and things that you would do if you were the guy making the decision.
That's
here.
correct.
The person making the decision here.
Correct.
And for me, like, pretty clear where I would go and how I would rebuild this team.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know that they have the same
Sure.
ideas and vision, because they haven't been able to realize it.
All right. We got the handoff. Looks like D'Lo is going to be with us next. We'll talk with him about whatever the hell's going on with Sacramento. It's ugly. That's coming up next. James Ham, Joe Brazil, Kyle Madsen, Insiders, Jiffy Lube. You know the works. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to go turn on this computer.
It just feels like there's so many simple questions that there's not simple answers to. It's just like, why is Levine not shooting more? I feel like there's a million of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that one might be one of the easiest things to, like, it's frustrating when we can all say, why? But I mean, at the same time, I think we all know.
why are they not trying on defense?
We've been yelling all day long.
Ah!
We talked about
That's what we've been doing.
Cromwell and having a head on a spike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man, that red pops on the screen. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That looks great.
I'm not someone who wears red very often. I do like my Grass Valley hat, though.
Shout out Grass Valley. It's beautiful up there. Used to go camping around that area all the time.
That's where I grew up.
Getting comfortable. I will excuse myself when we return.
You can just hang out however you want. Yeah, just adjust that. Yep.
I think I'm going to do the whole show with my feet up. These bitches out here.
Oh, I absolutely know about Taco Tree. My dad grew up right next to the one, Placer High School.
Oh, yeah.
So
I've only been to that one like twice because I just live on the other side of town.
Yeah, we know all about that place, though.
Taco Tree is bomb. It's like McDowell's, only way better than the original.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, everybody.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham's there. I'm Kyle. That's Joe. Before we get to the handoff with one of the members of the next radio program, I got to tell you about Underdog Daily Fantasy. Major League Baseball is here. That means I've got MLB lineups in every single day. They, of course, have all your favorite teams, all your favorite leagues, all your favorite sports. But I'm rocking baseball. No A's tonight, so I'm going up to Seattle. I'm going out to San Francisco for the Giants-Mariners game tonight. It's Justin Verlander v. Bryce Miller. They're both in my lineup. Justin Verlander, I'm going higher than 5.5 strikeouts. I think he's going to be pumped up for the home opener. I think he's going to be very, very good. Bryce Miller, I'm going higher than 17.5 pitching outs for the Mariners starting pitcher. He just needs to get through 6 innings. I think he can do that against the Giants. And then Elliot Ramos been tearing the cover off the ball. I'm going higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for the Giants outfielder. First pitch for that game, 135. Been having a lot of success. Yesterday, Brent Rooker did hit a home run, but that was the only one of my 3 in my lineup that hit. That was a real bummer for me. So I'd love for you to play along on the Underdog app. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in any state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. And now it's time, everybody, for the handoff. Damian Barling going to join us. Welcome in, Damian. You get air horns, the Kings don't.
Yeah, the Kings don't deserve air horns.
What the hell was that?
It's the Kings season in the game. Like
they quit.
Like they didn't quit.
They
like
quit.
They didn't quit.
They did.
No, they yeah, they just get punched in the face and don't know how to recover. Like there's a point like in the like beginning of the fourth, I was like, okay, they have a couple minutes here. Like turn it on.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know that anyone would have walked away like, whew, got to
what a
win.
win.
Like, all right, you won. Like, all right, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you do it at this point. Just go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jade,
it was clear quick. That's not happening.
Nope.
They're going to lose this game. And no one should be surprised that the Kings lost. This is their season in a nutshell. No one should be surprised that they lost. Like, and I don't even like, we'll be here to field all of the anger and frustration, but it's like, yeah, like whatever. I want this season to end. If it ends a week from Sunday, I'm perfectly fine with that. One thing I think became it, like, I think everyone lost their job yesterday.
Yep.
Because
right.
I think Doug lost his opportunity to be a head coach. If Monty even had an opportunity to be the general manager next year, I don't really think that he did. He lost his job yesterday, and I think the direction of this franchise is in serious peril.
Yep.
And, like, who knows? Again, it's a one game at a time thing. You've got Charlotte coming up. You've got Cleveland. I think that's the end of the road trip, Hammer.
Nope, Detroit.
Oh, there's a Detroit game in there.
Yeah.
Back to back after Cleveland.
Okay, so, okay, awesome. So you've got Charlotte, and then you've got, I think, 4 playoff teams in a row before you close out with the team that you're competing with for the final play-in spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Cleveland, Detroit, Denver, Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah,
Unless
Denver's
I'm missing
in there,
one.
Yeah. No, Denver's in there. You're right.
So you're playing a bunch of playoff teams. Those aren't playing teams. Those are certified playoff teams that you got ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Doug is staring at individually an under 500 record now as a head coach when this is all said and done, unless they do something that they haven't done recently. And they look done. If we were inside the NBA, they look like 1, 2, 3 Cancun. They look cooked.
Quit.
Yeah, maybe they have. Maybe they did quit. I don't know. They look more lost than.
Yeah,
I don't know. They just look lost to me.
But I think that's a function of everything we've talked about with this. Just looks like a collection of guys playing pickup. When you're playing pickup, you don't have a go-to set or like a thing you can lean on where you go, okay, hey, when things get bad, everybody settle. We're going to do this thing offensively. We're going to do this defensively. We're going to lock in. And we're going to have a good 5-minute stretch. Like there's no resetting. It's just, okay, I guess try harder on defense. There's nothing that they're grounded in. There's no foundation here.
No, there's not. And for guys like Malik, who, when you struggle offensively, you don't have your hat to hang. You don't have anything else to hang your hat on.
Nope.
Like he has been awful the last 2 games offensively, which is so, not characteristic of him. Like at this level, just to be so bad on the offensive end, the Kings don't have enough talent to have a key offensive player be this bad. And then you're making the decision because of defense to start Keon Ellis. I got a question for you. Keon Truthers. Is the result any different with Keon Ellis starting?
Nope. No, it hasn't been.
We talked about this earlier. Like the fact that Malik Monk has just been horrific coming off the bench.
Terrible.
Like since he moved to the bench, it's like, hey, he's just not the same player.
And I don't, but it's like, why? Like, I mean, he's not tanking. Like he's not trying to be bad. It's just it's like he comes off the bench and the shot can't fall for him. That's it.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to something, James. You talk about this a lot with Malik, how he's not a grinder in terms of going into the gym and working on this specific area of his game. Like he just hoops. He's just going to get running. He's just going to play.
He's a hooper.
I think when he misses 4 games at this point of the year because he's sick and he's not on the court and he's not playing, there's not like something he goes back to. It's just, all right, I'm going to go back out there. I got to find it again.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of what the result is sometimes.
Yeah.
He might get hot here over a couple of games and hit 10 threes in 2 games. And we're like, oh, hey, there's Malik again. But
even when he's not hot, he's normally like serviceable.
Yeah, he's been
he's
really
bad.
Yeah.
Like Malik Malik has had stretches where he's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is just his stretch where it's bad. It's just happening at a really awful time.
Yeah.
But it's such a microcosm of the season. It's like, this is the story of the season. You need something to happen in this moment, and you can't get it done. You just cannot get it done, no matter how. I don't know this for sure, but it really feels like Washington was actively trying to not win that game last night.
Buddy, go ahead.
Yeah, they didn't even put
Jordan
Poole back in the game.
Like,
they were trying to lose.
How do you do that? Like, what is that conversation that you have in the locker? Like, what does Doug Christie say to that? Forget Doug. What does DeMar DeRozan say? Or the leader? What's the All-NBA guy say?
Probably not.
What's Domantas Sabonis say to that group?
I'll tell you, this season, you say it comes down to like that game. Like it's just like a microcosm of the season. And even within that, with 55.6 seconds left, DeMar DeRozan had that crazy 6-foot floating and one, right? They got the game. It's 111, 109.
Mm-hmm.
You got beat by, and this isn't even a good play. Like, first of all, with 15 seconds, so they still had 9 seconds on the shot clock. JT Thor, a guy who's gone 1 of 10 from 3 and was a call up from the G League earlier in the day, buries a 3-pointer.
Had not taken a shot.
What was he even doing in the game? That just showed they were not trying to win. Why is JT Thor in the game with a minute left? And he's the guy who hits a 3 and makes it a 5-point game and basically ends the game. Just, you're right. It's a microcosm, but it's like
somewhere the Wizards general manager is like,
how do you even they didn't have a single player that you would double or that you would have to play close. All you had to do is play man up defense. And you gave up a wide open 3 to a G League guy who's 1 of 10 on the season from 3.
They've done all year.
All year.
And we're asking them in the final 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and so on games left to change that. This is what they've done. They've got Charlotte next. They were a 13.5-point favorite yesterday. As soon as I saw that, I was like, you bitches can't be serious. 13.5. I didn't think the Kings would lose. I did not think the Kings would lose last night.
You didn't think they'd cover.
What, 13.5? Bro, have you watched the Sacramento Kings play? No. What's the spread tonight?
Tomorrow? I tried to look.
Tomorrow, yeah. So,
I tried to look. I couldn't find one.
Okay.
Couldn't find
one. All right, I'll tap in tomorrow.
Yeah. At least first thing.
Just crazy.
I'll check in the morning and call you.
Thank you.
Hey,
please call me on your way to work.
Points.
Yeah. Don't, whatever it is, leave it alone.
Man.
Leave it alone. Michael Jackson, bad album.
Do you know? Really good song.
It's actually Leave Me Alone.
Leave Me Alone. Yeah, that's fine. Do you know who's really happy about all this? The Athletics.
Utah? Oh.
Because they just
baseball talk? No, nobody.
They just like, this is not the droid you're looking for.
Yeah. 18-3, 7-4,
but does
and 10-2.
Does anybody
Salute.
care if the A's win or not?
Nah. People are just happy they're here.
That's it. That's it. That's
and the
what
A's
I feel
aren't
like.
happy to be here.
You got to get 100 games in before you're like, oh, okay, does this team have any shot at all? Like,
it's a bad look to open your first 3 games in a new city, getting outscored 30.
That's tough.
5-9.
That's tough.
That's not a good start.
Geno Smith just signed a 2-year extension with the Raiders.
Ooh.
Oh.
So that was part
Do we have
of
terms?
the trade. We do not. We do not have the terms of the deal yet. I'm
It's
guessing
probably a big deal for Brock
that
Purdy.
came from Ian Rappaport, and he tagged the agent. So I'm guessing it's not the most favorable deal. That's why they didn't include them.
Shefty will have it.
Shefty will, and he won't get it from the agent, and he won't
Correct.
tag the agent, so he has no problem putting the terms of the deal out there.
Like 2 years,
Yeah.
$8 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. I'm dying.
Okay, don't hey, do it on the air. Do it. Those are the rules. Those are the
No,
rules.
we're back. We're
if
back.
a member
We're
of
back. What do you
ESPN
guys got?
1320 dies, it must be on the air.
What do you guys got coming back? Coming up on D-Lo and KC.
We are going to let people say what they want.
About
That's what
the
we
A's?
did all day.
Yes, about the A's.
All right. D-Lo and KC coming up next. Elk Grove Kia Talk Lines, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. If you want to start lining up now. For James Ham and Joe Brazil, I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Back with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, drink water, be nice people. See ya!